Hello and welcome. Let's get you the top story at this hour. Just take a look at these numbers. If we can pull them up right now, India has reported a 21% jump in COVID cases in a day. India has reported 27,553 COVID cases in 24 hours. India's Omicron tally is up to 1,525, with Maharashtra being the worst hit. As COVID cases rise, Bengal is to close schools from tomorrow. All offices are to work with 50% staff. Only 50 people are to be allowed at weddings and social gatherings. Karnataka has reported 1,187 new COVID cases, 923 of them from Bangalore alone. And in the view of rising cases, the Supreme Court is now to go back to running virtually for 2 weeks. Now, Delhi has logged 3,194 new COVID cases over the last 24 hours. That's 15% higher than yesterday. Remember, the city logged 2,176 cases on New Year's Day. That was a 50% spike. The positivity rate in the national capital has also risen to 4.59%. This is according to data from the city's health department. Today's figure is the highest daily surge since the 22nd of May. New Delhi has also reported the second highest cases of the highly transmissible Omicron strain after Maharashtra. The number of active coronavirus patients in the capital now stands at 8,327. That's the highest in about 7 months. Still, the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal says that there's no need to panic yet, because though the number of cases are rising rapidly, the number of hospitalizations are not. And in fact, he says the impact of the virus in this phase is far lesser than what it was during the second wave.
केसेस तो बढ़ रहे हैं, लेकिन चिंता की कोई बात नहीं है, पैनिक होने की कोई बात नहीं है। सबको जिम्मेदारी से काम लेना है, लेकिन पैनिक होने की कोई बात नहीं। और आज जो शाम को रिपोर्ट आएगी, उसमें लगभग 3100 के केस, आज की डेट में 6,360 एक्टिव केसेस हैं, 6,360 मरीज हैं। 3 दिन बाद 1 जनवरी को 247 लोग एडमिट थे, थोड़े कम ही हो गए। इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि जो लोग कोरोना से बीमार हो रहे हैं, उन लोगों को लगभग किसी को भी अस्पताल जाने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ रही। सब लोग माइल्ड केसेस हैं, छोटा मोटा खांसी बुखार, बिल्कुल माइल्ड केसेस है या एसिम्प्टोमेटिक केसेस।
All right, let's go across to Akshay Dongre, who's monitoring the situation in the national capital. Akshay, we heard the Chief Minister there. He presented data to show that despite an increase in COVID-19 cases, bed occupancy in hospitals in the national capital is less than 1%. Of course, very low compared to the same time last year during that deadly second wave of the coronavirus in April. However, at the same time, Akshay, we're hearing the Delhi Chief Minister cautioning people not to drop their guard. What is one supposed to take away from all of this today?
Well, Sarah, certain things are very clear by now, that the number of cases in the national capital are rising at a very rapid pace. Now, the Delhi Health Minister himself, around a week back, had said that approximately 50% of the cases that are being tested for genome sequence, that are being genome sequenced from the community, now they are being tested positive for Omicron variant, which means that the highly transmissible variant is now spreading in the community as well. As far as the rise in the number of cases are concerned, while the Chief Minister is cautioning people, he's also saying that there is no need to panic, and that's solely based on the fact that the hospitalization remains low so far. However, there is a catch to that. We have seen in the earlier waves as well that when the number of cases start to rise and at a rapid pace, the hospitalization follows that same pace, but at a gap of about 8 to 10 days. So if we see that what exactly was the number approximately 10 days back or 12 days back, then on 21st of December, the positivity rate was just 0.2%. The number of cases were 104, but now the number of cases are approximately 3,200 and the positivity is almost at 4.6%. if we go according to the earlier plan, that was the graded response action plan, according to that, if the positivity rate is somewhere close to 5% or above 5% for 2 consecutive days, it means a red alert, which is the highest level of preparedness by the Delhi government, and the restrictions are extremely high. However, in Delhi, yellow alert is continuing, and that is solely because if the government goes on with more restrictions, if they shut down industries, if they shut down the construction work that is going on, then a lot of migrant laborers who are in the national capital, they again are without a job. Then there might be a situation that they will think about moving back to their villages, something that we saw during the first lockdown, that there was a huge migrant exodus, and that also led to a transmission among the laborers who were in fact going packed in buses, and they in fact even started walking back home. So now the situation is extremely complicated. So the government is now going according to the hospital admissions. So till the time the hospitalization remains low, there won't be new curbs, neither the amber list nor orange nor the red list. So remains to be seen that what exactly is the hospitalization in the next coming days, but the situation needs to be monitored extremely carefully, because the situation is still developing, and any kind of data or scientific evidence can only come after the doctors, the healthcare experts in fact monitor the situation for around 2 weeks. So it's too early to say anything, but no fresh curves will be taking place in Delhi, despite the positivity rate shooting up to an all-time high if we look at 6 to 7 months back, and it's almost coming to a level where we saw a devastating number of cases, hospitalizations and oxygen shortages in the national capital. So according to the doctors, now the situation is to be extremely cautious, and everyone needs to keep their guards up.
Certainly, and for the next 2 weeks, we all have to for sure continue to do that, says Akshay. Thanks for that, Akshay. Meanwhile, Mumbai reported 8,063 new cases of the coronavirus in the last 24 hours. That's 27% higher than yesterday. However, the good news is that no deaths have been reported in the last 24 hours. But Maharashtra's additional Chief Secretary of Health has predicted that the state may report a total of 2 lakh active COVID-19 cases by the 3rd week of January, and has warned people not to be lulled by the narrative that the 3rd wave or the Omicron wave is mild and not fatal. And amidst this worrying rise in cases, starting Monday, in a few hours from now, India will be opening up access to COVID vaccinations for teenagers. And a day before the COVID jabs for teens are to start, over 5 lakh registrations took place on CoWIN to receive the Covaxin vaccine. Registrations for vaccinating 15 to 18-year-old children against the COVID-19 virus began on the 1st of January. That was Saturday.
Preparations at vaccination centers as the vaccination for the age group of 15 to 18 begins on Monday across the country. At South Delhi's Mulchand Hospital, a separate drive-through being arranged to minimize contact of children in the hospital.
Most importantly is that we have a drive-through which is separate from the regular vaccination centers, that the children will not be interfering with the patients or the main facility. Parents do not have to worry about it.
In Delhi government-run vaccination centers, even books and musical instruments are available at the observation area, in a bid to make the process of getting vaccines less stressful.
Infection बहुत ज़्यादा फैल रहा है, तो अब यहाँ पे आके काफी अच्छा लग रहा है, तो होगा जो भी अच्छा ही होगा. पहले तो थोड़ी थी, क्योंकि सब बोल रहे थे इंजेक्शन लगने के बाद थोड़ी सी तबीयत वगैरह खराब हो जाती है, बट अब यहाँ पे जब यहाँ पे आके एनवायरनमेंट देखा तो अच्छा फील हो रहा है.
बच्चों की और पेरेंट्स की हिचकिचाहट को दूर करने के लिए हमने वैक्सीनेशन सेंटर बनाया है, तो अलग से यहाँ पे उनके लिए वैक्सीनेशन सेंटर बना है.
Meanwhile, in Assam, a key announcement: plans to cover all 15 to 18-year-olds and estimated 20 lakh children within a week. What's more, these children will receive their second dose before board's exam in March and April.
I'm glad as a parent. I have a daughter going to appear class 10th. So we are hoping that it will be much easier to conduct examination. And from the media and various advertisements, we now know that vaccination will be done in school.
There are approximately 8 crore children between the age group of 15 to 18 in our country, and with the vaccination starting for them from tomorrow, this chunk of population can also now be protected more against COVID-19. However, with the number of Omicron cases rising across the country, hand hygiene, mask etiquette and social distancing remain equally important with the vaccine in the fight against COVID-19. With camera person Mohammad Mursalin Amakshadongre for NDTV.
So COVID cases are up 21% in 24 hours. But do our politicians care? Well, it was a super political Sunday for our politicians, from right from the Prime Minister to the Delhi Chief Minister to Akhilesh Yadav, all of them holding massive rallies in UP. The Prime Minister speaking in Meerut, Akhilesh and Arvind Kejriwal speaking in Lucknow. The announcement of the elections in the state can happen on any day now, and that's all our political leaders seem to be concerned about right now, it seems. Take a look at these rallies. Crowds and crowds of people gathering there, many of them not wearing any masks. Absolutely no one seems to be adhering to any COVID standard operating procedures, rules in place for the Aam Aadmi, but our politicians certainly seem they are more equal than the rest. Prime Minister Modi was in Meerut, like I said, where he visited a temple, and he laid the foundation stone of the Major Dhyan Chand Sports University, a university that's going to be established in the Sardhana town of UP at an estimated cost of about 700 crore. And the Prime Minister used the opportunity and the venue to hit out at the opposition, claiming that there was a free run for criminals under previous regimes. Speaking in Lucknow, Akhilesh Yadav hit right back.
पहले की सरकारों से यूपी में जब पहलों की सरकारें थी तब यूपी में अपराधी अपना खेल खेलते थे, माफिया अपना खेल खेलते थे। पहले यहां अवैध कब्जे के टूर्नामेंट होते थे, बेटियों पर फप्तियां कसने वाले खुलेआम घूमते थे कि लोगों के घर जला दिए जाते थे। और पहले की सरकार अपने खेल में लगी रहती थी। पहले की सरकारों के खेल का ही नतीजा था कि लोग अपना पुश्तैनी घर छोड़कर पलायन के लिए मजबूर हो गए थे। अब योगी जी की सरकार ऐसे अपराधियों के साथ जेल खेल रही है।
केवल अपनी वाहवाही के नाम पर छापे मारे जा रहे हैं। ये जैन समाज के लोग हैं, पहले गलत जैन के यहां चले गए, और अपनी बदनामी बचाने के लिए, अपनी शर्म को खत्म करने के लिए, और जो उनका गलत फैसला था उसकी भरपाई के लिए फिर जाकर के छापा मारा है। और छापा इसलिए मार रहे हैं क्योंकि वो अल्पसंख्यक समाज के आते हैं। वो ज्यादा से ज्यादा आबादी में 50 लाख होंगे, लेकिन ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी के लोग नहीं चाहते हैं कि 50 लाख आबादी के लोग भी तरक्की और खुशहाली करें।
All right, let's shift gears now. Let's get you updated with the other news from around the country. The technical committee appointed by the Supreme Court to investigate the alleged use of the Pegasus spyware to snoop on the phones of politicians, activists and journalists has now sought information from people who suspect their phones were targeted. In a public notice, the committee has asked such people to contact them by the 7th of January. The committee also says that it is ready to examine their phones. The top court ordered the investigation after a huge political storm set off by global headlines that the spyware from the Israeli firm, the NSO Group, was used to target many around the world. In India, the news portal The Wire that claimed that more than 142 people were targeted. Forensic analysis of some of the cell phones by the security lab of Amnesty International confirmed a security breach, the report said. The alleged list included the Congress's Rahul Gandhi, poll strategist Prashant Kishore, 2 serving union ministers, an ex-election commissioner, 2 registrars of the Supreme Court, an old number of a former judge and a close aide of a former attorney general, and about 40 journalists. Soldiers of the Indian Army have eliminated a Pakistani army soldier in the Kiran sector of Kupwara in Kashmir. The terrorist, who was attempting to cross the line of control carrying weapons and grenades. A search of the belongings revealed a Pakistani national ID card and vaccination certificates. They also include a photo of the infiltrator in an army uniform. In a statement, the Indian Army has said, this clearly establishes that Pakistan continues to sponsor cross-border terror. A hotline communication has been made to the Pakistani army asking them to take back the body of the killed individual. The army believes the Pakistani soldier was a member of a border action team, that is a highly trained group of Pakistani soldiers who cross the LOC and attempt to maim or behead Indian Jawans before fleeing.
You can say a bad attempt was attempted in the Kiran sector of Kupwara district. This was yesterday on 1st of January. Swift action by the troops deployed at the line of control foiled the bid and eliminated the terrorist, later identified as Mohammad Shabir Malik, a Pakistan national equipped with weapons and ammunition and warlike stores. The incident site is located on the Pakistan side of our anti-infiltration obstacle system.
And finally, as we at NDTV endeavour to bring you the most comprehensive coverage of the spread of the coronavirus, here's a special report. Is India going through an Omicron wave? One that we don't seem to be acknowledging. While the official figures suggest that Omicron is less than 2% of India's total COVID cases, this could be a massive underestimation. Here's an NDTV report based on exclusive information researched by Meher Pandey and Saurav Gupta, which points to a major Omicron health crisis that could hit India very soon.
Now, Omicron is perhaps the dominant COVID variant now in India. While the official number of Omicron cases in India is estimated to be nearly 1,500, in reality, it could be more than 10 times this official number, as high as 18,000, with the number shooting up every day. Now, India is following the rest of the world, which is facing galloping numbers of Omicron cases, which in some countries account for 90% of new cases. India's official numbers are so low because our country has very few testing labs or facilities that can check for genome sequencing, which is essential for all of us to be able to detect Omicron. Now, NDTV has had access to 2 labs that are able to test for Omicron, and the numbers tell a very different story to the official figures. 2 major Omicron labs in Delhi and in Mumbai show that out of all COVID cases, Omicron is now as high as nearly 60%. Another Omicron lab in Mumbai, and it's also likely to show in its next report that Omicron is 60%. That's up from 37% just a week ago. Particularly alarming is the fact that Omicron cases are rising much faster than Delta, from about a 2% share of total COVID cases 2 to 3 weeks back. It's now shooting up to 30% a few days back, and it's now close to 60% of all COVID cases. During this period, the share of the Delta variant has fallen consistently, making Omicron already the dominant variant in India. Now, this is both good news and bad news for India. The good news is that Omicron causes less severe infections than Delta, and a higher percentage of Delta patients are hospitalized, with a higher percentage of deaths as well compared to Omicron. But the worrying news for India is that Omicron spreads much faster. It's estimated to be 4 to 5 times more infectious than the Delta variant. Think about it, 4 to 5 times. Now this suggests that if this third wave does accelerate like it has across the rest of the world, India could see between 16 to 20 lakh cases every day at its peak, compared with the 4 lakh Delta cases that India had at the peak of our second wave. Now this would place an unimaginable and an unmanageable strain on our medical system, hospital beds, oxygen cylinders, doctors, and the availability of medicine. This is because even though a fewer percent of Omicron cases are likely to be hospitalized, the number of cases and infections are so much larger. For instance, if only 6 out of 100 Delta cases need hospitalization and only half that, say 3 out of 100 Omicron cases need hospitalizations, then the second wave peak of 4 lakh Delta cases resulted in about 24,000 hospital admissions. But in the third scenario, in the worst scenario, in fact, a third wave peak of 20 lakh Omicron cases would result in between 40 to 60,000 Omicron hospitalizations per day. Now, India's medical infrastructure was close to breaking point during the second wave of Delta, with potentially nearly 3 times that number of hospitalizations under Omicron. Possibly now, India could be facing a massive health crisis. The one positive we can hope for is that the Omicron wave, though much worse than the Delta wave, may not last as long as the Delta wave. Data from South Africa shows that Omicron waves may tend to both spike faster and die away quicker than Delta waves. Nevertheless, India does not appear to be preparing itself for what, at its worst, could be a terrible third wave ahead. We must prepare, and we must prepare now.